Hi everyone, it's Karen here with a mixed media textured canvas created for 7 Dot Studio. Enjoy! I recently created an altered brush and I really love the way it came out, and I decided to do a similar canvas with the same exact technique, but just a different texture, and instead of doing it on a brush, obviously on a canvas. All products and links are listed in the description area below. However, not all the products are available on the market because some of them are old, but the main thing with this video is to show how to create this technique, and you can use any embellishments. You don't have to use the ones I've used. The first thing I did is I took some Prima Finnabair modeling paste, and using my Prima silicone brush, I spread it over the canvas. This is a 6x12 canvas, and I'm just spreading it pretty thickly because I wanted to create some texture in it. What my idea was that I wanted to stamp with one of the 7 Dot Studio stamps. To do this technique, you have to have the modeling paste quite dry, and especially dry to the touch. It actually is supposed to be dry in between as well, and I've done this technique before and it has worked perfectly, but somehow it didn't want to work for me today. I tried a couple times to stamp and had to dry the modeling paste a little bit more, and it's still, even on the third attempt, which is the one you're going to see, I still did not succeed. This is the Dreamscape stamp from 7 Dot Studio, and I'm pressing it into the quite dry modeling paste, and what happens is it's peeling off the top layer. And because I tried it a couple times and I saw that it didn't work, I decided to just go with the flow and realize that I'm not going to have the triangular pattern that I wanted. I'm just going to use the stamp to kind of peel off the top and create this really cool texture in the background. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow even if you don't know what you're doing. And I knew that I wanted texture. I thought I would get that triangular texture, but I just didn't, and I just ended up with a really other cool texture that I liked. I dried this as well with my heat tool, and then I took some of the chipboard pieces from the Dreamscape and the Hazy Days collection and started arranging them around the canvas, going up and down to create that movement. So I used some of the film strips from one of the collections, and then I used some of the triangle pieces from the other. For this technique to work, it doesn't really matter which embellishments you use. All you want to do is pick some embellishments that create texture and movement. The movement can be created in any way. You need things that either go lengthwise or sideways. And here I picked a Prima frame, a resin frame, and a couple of chipboard pieces, a little bird and a bird cage, and use some of the soft matte gel first to glue the thin pieces of the 7 Dot Studio chipboard, because they don't weigh as much, so it's good to use the soft matte gel for them. Then for the resin frame and the bird cage, I used some heavy gel from Prima Finnabair because I wanted to make sure that it stays in place. Once I had the main elements in place, I took some more of the soft matte gel medium from Prima Finnabair, and using some art stones, I started adding them to create the texture. I love this technique, and I always point out to it that I actually take the paintbrush, dip it into the soft gel, and then I dip it into the art stones, and a bunch of it gets stuck onto my paintbrush, and I just put it on to the desired area. That way you get a really nice bunched up area of texture, and it sticks all together because it already has the gel on it. So I just continued doing this in different places until I was happy with the amount of texture that I had added. Once I was done adding the art stones, I took a couple more wooden pieces, a wooden heart from Prima and a Dreamscapes from Hazy Swap, and I just glued them using some of the heavy gel as well. So I really wanted to add that triangular pattern onto the background, so I took the Dreamscapes stencil, which has triangles on it, and I started going around this canvas and adding some of those triangles with the modeling paste. I even went and added some on the heart and on the bird as well. I let this composition dry for a few hours, and then I took some Prima heavy white gesso and covered everything. All the embellishments, the back of the canvas, all the texture, everything was covered with one layer of heavy white gesso. I really only needed one layer, as this gesso really covers everything well because it's so heavy. The next step was my favorite part, which is adding color. I took 3 colors of color bloom spray, the dragonfly blue, fir needles, and spring dandelion, and started adding it to the background. The first one I added was the dragonfly blue, and what I do is I took a small paintbrush. It's a very thin Prima Finnabair paintbrush, and I dip it right into the bottle. And then once I put a few drops of it in certain areas, I spray with water to spread and remove some of the ink. So this is a spray and remove technique. As you can see, I had a cute little helper come and help me here and spray the water. She saw me doing this and she really wanted to spray. So you see 4 hands here. It's because she's helping me, my daughter. And I took the next color, which is the fir needles, and I really like mixing these 2 colors together because they make the patina effect really good. So what you do is you can use wipes and also use the spray bottle, the water spray, and just spray around and let the colors mix with each other. Since the color bloom spray are like watercolors, they mix really well together. Here I'm using the spring dandelion, which is a yellowish color, and when it mixes with the blue and the green, it creates a really beautiful patina-like effect. The key to this technique is to actually add the different colors in between the embellishments to kind of create a darker shadow underneath. So what you do is you put the little bit of the color and then you remove some of it either with a wipe or with a spray bottle, and create drips going down, up and down, and they kind of mix in between the texture. So I continued going with the different colors, taking turns between the blue, the green, and the yellow until I was happy with the result. As you can see, I'm avoiding the bird and the bird cage and the heart, and just kind of going in between the embellishments, leaving the white to stick on top and create those beautiful highlights. Even the texture with the art stones stay white at the top while the watercolor or the color blooms kind of seep in between the texture. I try not to trim this part of the video because I really want to show how to color things, especially with this technique. It's really important to see what the technique looks like, and if I cut anything off, then I feel that people won't be able to see exactly how it's done. The next step is to add that rusted look to the background, and for this to work, the other area has to be a little bit more dry. So what I did is I took my rust paste from Prima Finnabair, and you could use a color bloom spray with the same tones, but I like using the paste because it has a little bit of that gritty texture. And what I do is I use an old tub that has very little in it, and I spray water in it to make it really liquidy. And then I use the same technique that I did before. I add it in certain areas and then spray it with my spray bottle and remove some of the extra color, so that the water helps it spread, and at the same time it creates a really nice rusted effect. This is really important to also add in between the embellishments and on the edges of the embellishments, because usually if you look at rust, it usually starts rusting underneath things or on the edges of things, especially when it's been in contact with different elements that make it rust. So to mimic that effect, you really need to do that at the edges of things or underneath things to make it look as it's part of the design. Once I added it around the center embellishments, I started adding it towards the bottom around the film strips and all the little triangles that I had stuck on, because I really wanted to create a rusty shadow underneath each one of those embellishments to create some movement up and down the canvas. So I did this on the film strips and on the small triangle chipboards that I had created, that I had glued in the background. And then I was done. I really loved creating this project, especially this technique looks so amazing because I love the rusty look and the patina effect on any type of project, and this type of technique is one of my favorites. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more inspiration, subscribe to my channel and visit me on my website. Bye!